Hey everybody, good to see you all back once again. So we need to get something done today. The public feed's been awfully quiet lately, and we're kind of down waiting on parts shipments right now because of Christmas and New Year's that we've just gotten through. That backs the whole system up, and several key shipments are due in any day here. So in the meantime, we have to see what all work we can get done. So that's what we're doing today. The parts bench, pretty much we're down to the distributor and the drive unit, and I've hatched quite a scheme for these pieces here. That's why we've got a second distributor, and it may be a bit of a departure when compared to the work I usually do, but I think it's going to be an interesting set of videos. So what we can do today is get into the starter and the generator, and this will probably be at least a two-part deal before we get completely through both of these, but we're going to do them at the same time because these are pretty close to being the same unit once you get to the insides. So that's where we are going to begin. First thing I'm going to do, we'll take this pulley off of the end of the generator because this one has a pulley, this one has a Bendix drive. Other than that, the process is pretty close to the same. So we'll start right here. And yes, we're using a chromie socket on an impact wrench because there's so little space around that nut, an impact socket does not fit. Typically, you don't need a puller. Yep. Of course, I've been through this one before, but these pulleys are just on a straight shaft, single key. The light layer of grease that I apply to all the surfaces here, key comes out, really keeps the corrosion down, so these come apart a lot easier. Typically there's this spacer too that is behind the pulley. Now that we've got the main front end difference out of the way, we can remove the band that goes around the brush openings. All right, so both of these are about the same. Usually just need a screwdriver and sometimes a wrench. This one you just need a screwdriver. And it's just, it's like a band clamp is all it is. There we are. Oftentimes there are pieces of gasket under there. And you can look inside, see the commutator and the brushes. We'll do the same thing with the starter. This one does have a nut on the back side we'll have to hold. And because of the different end cap design, I only need to back that one off. And it can slide right off the back. Now that we have access into the brushes, there are electrical leads that are connected to the brush leads. We have to take the machine screws out so that we can disconnect the brush leads from the windings that are on the inside of the case. We'll just do the generator here. Starter is going to be the same way. Okay. Here's an interesting development. There's a winding lead that has frayed and come detached, disconnected. So that could explain some of the charging issues I was having there towards the end. I chalked it up to a bad regulator, but yeah, that's a repair we're going to have to make. And we're just finishing up disconnecting the brush leads on the starter. There are 4 brushes inside the starter, but 2 brushes are each connected to a single lead. So there's only 2 leads total, and they are located 180 degrees off from one another. Now there are 2 long bolts that go all the way through these that hold everything together. So they'll come out next. Now we can pull the end cap off, and just be careful not to hang a brush lead when you're doing this. These end caps are all indexed with small alignment dowels. Okay. Here is the dowel pin here on the cap, corresponding hole for it in the case. So when you put them back together, you have to make sure those are aligned. We'll have corresponding dowels, blah, 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 case to front cap as well on each one. Same procedure with the starter. Okay. Pivot arms are all good. The housings come off now. Showing the armature at last. Once again, pay close attention to the alignment dowels. Also be careful not to bang the windings too hard against the armatures. On the generator now, the front plate should slide off using only hand pressure. We've got this thrust washer in here that is captured beneath the windings. So there's our armature right there, and this one has a sealed bearing unit. 3 screws and a plate would take that out. If that's good, you can usually leave it in place. So that pretty much does it for the generator. Now the starter is going to come off the nose cone a little bit differently. We've got 2 machine screws, one right there, one right there. They will have to come out before we can lift the armature from the nose cone. There's one. There's 2. Now we should disengage, yes. And here is our armature with the starter Bendix, and as you just saw, there are a few clearance shims, end play washers up in the cap. Keep track of those. And for the fold-over lock fans, we've got fold-over locks on the starter Bendixes. So we'll have to get this tab pulled down here, and then these bolts usually, they're usually not that tight. We'll need to back this one out because the end of it has a peg on it that goes into a hole that's drilled in the side of the shaft. So once this is far enough out to disengage, there we go. We can slide this whole starter Bendix off. You can see the hole right there. The end of that bolt went in. And we've got a key, a Woodruff key in the side of the shaft as well. That's what keys this Bendix hub to the shaft, helps to locate it. So that comes off. This was installed new the last time I rebuilt the starter, and it's still very good. I'm just kind of doing a quick refresh and clean on all of these. So we've got this plate right here that can slide. I think we've got a little bit of a burr where that Woodruff key was. Yes. Let's make sure we don't have a high spot because there is a bushing in here that we don't want to scar. A little bit of careful filing around that key slot, and that comes right off. So bushing still looks good in there. So now we're down to a bare armature for both the starter, get you all off Mr. Cameraman pole, and the generator. So this is where the reconditioning and the testing really starts, because the armature and the windings are very much the heart at the core of each one of these assemblies. Next in priority is going to be brushes. All right, I don't think we're going to have to do much with brushes here. As you can see from this one, we haven't even worn all the way across the face. All these brushes were replaced the last time I did the rebuild on both of these units. Starter brushes are also, yeah, you look at that one, there's factory edge, leading edge left on that yet. You don't get much better than this. But if we did have to look up new brushes, I'll show you how we cross that hurdle. Yes, whenever a book is big enough to require an all metal frame and steel hinges on, on the covers, you know it has to be good. Everybody watch the swap meets. Sometimes this is the best $20 you'll ever spend on anything. But we have an old Delco Remy Master Interchange Manual for all things generator, regulator, distributor, light switches, what have you. So you can find anything you need in here. I've got a test specification manual that we will get into in a minute as a bookmark, but we are in the application index. You can go to International Harvester, down to tractors. This will tell you exactly what every model of tractor originally had for starters, generators, what have you. We are in models H, HV, I4, W4, all the same. We needed a generator with a number of 1100501. 1100501. That's how we know that is the correct generator still for this tractor. Next, we just walk the yellow tags back until we find generators. All right, and I've already found it. We've got a bookmark in place right here. So here is the complete breakdown parts manual for this generator. All of the parts in the listing down here. Right at the top of the heading, model number 1100501. That's the one we need. So we have a frame number, we have an armature number, field coil part numbers, bushing or ball bearings, collar out to everything. So you can check here, armature originally was a 1947802, but we're running a 1913560 in this one. Let's get where you all can see that. Right there. That's where they stamp the armature number. So we know this armature has been replaced at least once. But if we needed to locate the brushes, 14 and 15, this is a 3-brush style generator. So we need 2 of the number 14, 1 of the number 15. We follow the numbers over to the next page. 14, brush main, 1906984. 15, brush third, 1906940. Using those 2 numbers, you can take that to a parts store. Most likely they will still be current. If they're not, they can use those old numbers to supersede it up to the current number. Easy as that. So with our generator brushes noted, we can use this book for the starters as well. You go down to where it says cranking motors, all right? Open that up. We're also going to need the tag number off of this starter because it's an old rusty one. I was able to transpose it. It's a 1107448. So we flip through, it's all in numerical order. We get to this page right here, and we have a down here 107448, and we get the same frame number, armature number. It shows this one should have the 818002 armature. Sure enough, 818002, so we know that is still original to it. And we can go over to the brush number. It uses 4 brushes, actually 2. There's 4 brushes, but each are paired, so we'd need 2 of the 1906945. Yet another manual that is very handy to have. And guys, I can't preach enough, buy books. Buy as many books as you possibly can, because without this, you're just kind of taking shots in the dark. Here's a Delco Remy Test Specifications Manual. This covers generators, regulators, and starters. And the way this works, we're in the generator portion right now. We take our model number for the generator, 1100501. We scroll down through all these listings, and finally we will find 1100501. So that says clockwise rotation, and it is up here, spec number 1778. So we go back to the specifications section, and right here is our 1778. So we've got field current at 6 volts at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is amps. We manage 2.5 to 2.72 amps on the field current. Amp output is 20 to 25. Volts would be 7, so we know it's matched to a 6-volt system. Approximate operating RPM 2400. And here is our hot output. We can manage 16 to 19 amps at 6.9 to 7.1 volts at approximate RPM of 2500. So that's how we know that we've got a good generator that's matched to our system requirements. We can do that same thing with starters in here as well. So starter number 1107448 right here shows it is a counterclockwise rotation. Spec number 363. Following page lists the spec numbers. We go to 363 right here. So we've got brush tension, 24 ounces minimum, max amps 65 at 5 volts, approximate RPM 6,000. We can do the lock test, which is pretty much full out. Max amps it can handle is 570 at 3.15 volts, and a torque in foot-pounds minimum 15 foot-pounds torque is the minimum that will put out at maximum operation, if that makes any sense. So manuals like this can tell you everything you need to know. We've just been in here for just a couple minutes. We know what we need for parts. We would know what we'd need for bushings. We would know what we'd need for windings, and we can also tell if these are still put together in original form. Add to that, we've got battery generator regulator manuals. All right, this comes in handy when you're finishing out the rest of the charging system. Plenty of other test specs. We've got the master carburetor and power kit, Delco Remy. I think that was $22 on that. I mean, you can't go wrong at those prices for that level of information. So I hope rattling off all of those numbers did not just completely lose everybody, but there is a method to the madness. It's all about decoding the system to find the parts that you need to keep all of this stuff running. So the next order of business is going to be a thorough cleaning of everything on the bench. After we get it good and clean, then we can start continuity tests, checking for shorts, growler testing the armatures. We'll even get into armature lathes and undercutting and all of that really good stuff next time. Getting all this stuff cleaned is going to take me quite a while, so it's best if I cut the episode right here. Thank you for watching, everyone. As always, I do appreciate it, and hope to see y'all back next time.